Welcome to Men Pursuing More. I'm your host, Roger Maupin. I believe every man has the potential to push past his limits and strive for something greater. Whether you're a former athlete who is looking for what's next, a professional pushing through the daily grind, or someone simply ready to break through life's toughest challenges, if you're ready to step into the pursuit of something more, your pursuit begins now. Hey, welcome back to Men Pursuing More. I'm your host, Roger Maupin. Today we have Quincy Davis joining us. Now, Quincy, before we dive into your story, a few sports questions for you. First, favorite all-time sports team?
Favorite all-time sports team? I know I'm a basketball guy, but through and through, I've been rocking with the Philadelphia Eagles ever since I was in third grade. So I'm going with the Philadelphia Eagles. Just came off a Super Bowl. I'm going to ride that train for sure.
All right, shout out to the Eagles. Love it. All right, favorite all-time player? It can be any sport.
Ooh, all-time player, Kobe Bryant for sure. Just his mentality, the way he approached the game of basketball, his dedication to the game. And yeah, he's just always been somebody that I idolized as a basketball player, and just his mentality and everything that he did in his pursuit in life, I think he just approached every area of life the same way. And so definitely respect him as a man and as a basketball player.
I love it. And then one highlight from high school or college hoops?
And highlight, I would say a little bit of both. High school, I just really enjoyed the opportunity to be able to play with my brother Chris when we were able to do. And then college, I think just the relationships that I built with my teammates and the guys that I've been able to be in contact with till this day, I think those are experiences that you can't get back. And being able to look back and cherish on those and enjoy them for what they were, and still just keeping those relationships strong throughout life, I think is definitely something that I'll cherish forever.
Yeah, keeping those connections and
Yeah,
keeping them lifelong. I love that. All right, tell the listeners about, you grew up in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and some of the kind of highlights and challenges along the way growing up. I know you had four brothers. I know your dad was in the military, so just share some of that.
Yeah. Growing up, my dad was in the military. We had lived in Panama for a little bit growing up, and we're there. I think we came back when I was I was probably like in first grade. That was when I remember getting back to Colorado, getting back to the States. And then shortly after, my parents separated. And so when I was like in third grade or so, my parents had separated. And so, yeah, it was just my brothers and I have three brothers, two of which are twins. And then Chris, who is the second oldest, all grew up with our single mom. And at the time, she was working many jobs. She was going back to school to get her master's degree. And so a lot of times it was just us four, right? And me being the oldest, having to take care of younger siblings, even as I'm in fourth grade, fifth grade, trying to navigate what we're going to eat for dinner or what we're doing to stay out of trouble. That was what our life was like. But I think that helped our bond grow closer. And we're really close today. We talk almost every day of the week, whether that's chat, FaceTime, whatever it is. But yeah, just us growing up with a single mom, our bond. I don't think that there's any group of people that I would want to go on that journey with. And just the men that they are today, I can't say that I'm more proud just because of what we'd have to overcome, the adversity we'd have to overcome. And yeah, it makes me very proud as a man to be able to call those three my brothers.
I love hearing that. And just sharing with listeners about you growing up in, I think you went to, was it Carson High School?
Fountain for Carson. For Carson, yeah.
So share with us about that, kind of playing hoops, and just, you already shared a little bit about the impact of your four brothers, but you kind of had to take that father figure position on too. And here you are, you're the oldest one, and your mom's, she's a single mom, to raise the four of you, and then just kind of responsibility that was placed upon you as the oldest.
Yeah, there was a lot of responsibility. At the same time, though, it's not like we're all really close in age, right? So there's not this like large age gap between all of us. For example, I turned 33 last August. Chris turned 32 in November, and then the twins turned 30 in December, right? So there's not this huge age gap between us. We're looking at 3.5 years at the most between all of us. And yes, I was the oldest, but at the same time, I think they also forced them to come into that role as well. and learn, okay, how do we fend for ourselves? We have to do it. I think just looking out for one another too has always been something that's been big for us. Like we never went anywhere without each other, right? We were playing with other kids in the neighborhood, playing football, playing tackle football, playing basketball. Like we were always doing things together, which again, I think just helped our bond grow closer. Then we got into high school. Chris and I went to high school together. And then unfortunately, he was diagnosed with cancer his freshman year of high school, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma at the time. And I think that was just devastating. It hit us, it hit our family, it impacted every single one of us. And thankfully, by the grace of God, he was able to win that battle. And then, but he had to sit out half a season of basketball. It was just a lot for us. And then he was able, like I said, to beat that battle. The twins then came in. I graduated, the twins then came into high school, and everything was just flowing after that. But yeah, it was just great to be able to experience high school with him. And then, like I said, just growing up, all of us, we just had a close bond, and something that was very unbreakable.
Amen to your mother too. They're raising four boys.
Yeah,
That's pretty
four
amazing.
knuckleheads at that, man. Looking back now, I'm like, I don't know how. Just being a father myself, I'm like, I don't know how she raised four boys independently. Like it's just, and we were all in sports, right? I just vividly remember being at gyms all the time, or being at a baseball field, or being at a football field, or that's what our weekends consisted of. And then thinking back to, okay, when did she have time for herself? When did she have time for self-care? What did that look like? And so just being in this role in this season of parenthood now, it's hard to look back on and be like, dang, like doing that individually, I couldn't even imagine, because it's hard enough doing it with a partner, right? When you're able to split the responsibilities and do all those things. So yeah, kudos to our mom for being able to raise four men.
Well, you talked about the grace of God. God was working in amazing ways through your mother. Just
Yeah.
to have that patience and have four boys and raising four
Yeah.
boys
Yeah.
during that time. Share with the listeners your decision I know you attended Adams State, and then the decision to play ball at Adams State, and then eventually you ended up at Presentation College. So share with us that journey.
Yeah. It was just like I always knew I wanted to play collegiate basketball. At the time, I knew I wanted to be close to home. So I was looking for things at home. But then just realized that it wasn't a necessity for me. I needed to branch out in order to grow. I think being at home was my comfort zone. And so just having, how do I get out of this comfort zone? How do I grow as an individual? How do I find my own path? And so ended up getting connected with the head coach at Presentation. We talked, did all those things, and then went out there. And again, like that's just one of those things where you just take a leap of faith. You don't know what it's going to be like. I'd never been to South Dakota. At the time, I was really like, I don't even know where it's at in terms of geographic location, sadly to say. But yeah, it was just one of those things where I took this leap of faith, went out there. And again, I don't regret that decision at all, because I think it just helped me grow as an individual, helped me make connections, still talk with my teammates, still talk with my coach all the time. And so those are the things that you look back on. I'm glad I made that decision to go that route. And I just had a great time playing college basketball. Like it was, those are like, once you experience collegiate athletics, it's like that's something that only people who have been in that space can understand what that's like. It's a shared experience. Yeah, I can't, I would never change my decision with thinking back on going back to Presentation and just my collegiate basketball journey.
I agree with you too. It's just an amazing experience to go through, play collegiate ball. And then also you met your wife
Yeah,
at
yeah, I met
Presentation
her.
too.
Yeah, yeah, we met at Presentation. She played basketball there for a few years, I believe. And then, yeah, we met. She was in nursing school, so was a nurse now. And then, yeah, soon after I graduated, I went and got my master's in counseling at Northern State University, which was in the same town, Aberdeen, South Dakota. And then I got an emphasis in school counseling. Soon after that, after the 2 years of the program, got a job at good old ECU High School, where we made our connection. I was at ECU for 7 years. So yeah, it's a crazy thing. But looking back at it, man, like time flies when you think about, like, that was really only 10 years ago for me, 11 years ago for me when I graduated from undergrad. And to think about where I am now, like it's crazy.
Share with the listeners, I know you were a grad assistant at Northern State, and then I know you did some coaching at Eastview too, right? You were a grad
Yeah,
assistant at
yeah, yeah. I was a grad assistant at Presentation for 1 year. So
Presentation. Okay.
after I got done playing, I was a grad assistant for 1 year. And then, yeah, I coached at ECU. I coached girls basketball at ECU during my time there.
All right. Any of those Eastview girls or alumni listening, it's like they're on a run right now.
Yeah, shout out to EVGBB.
That's right. There we go. Share with the listeners kind of your counseling experience at Eastview High School, some of the successes and kind of highlights, but also some of the challenges along the way. And I know within the coaching too, you're part of a state championship. And so share with us
hmm
a little bit about that too.
At ESU, I think I had a great time at ESU, especially just being like young in my career, being fresh out, and then giving me the chance as somebody who recently graduated from grad school to come in and make an impact right away. I think was awesome. I my experience there was, like I said, it was great, but the relationships that I built with the kids and the families along the way, I think that was the most impactful. And to even see them, to think back to my first year at ECU was 2016. Some of those kids are already married and have jobs and have kids. And to think back that far and see how much they've grown in that time, but also just still be able to stay connected with them and be able to have conversations and checking on each other, I think is awesome. But yeah, just the impact that the families had, just being able to diversify myself and learn about myself as a person through impacting others, I think was huge. And then being able to coach on top of that. Like I think about my time as a coach at ECU and just the opportunity I was given to coach there. And again, very appreciative for what that experience was. All the players I was able to connect with, you see them grow as young women into adult women now, and being able to handle their business is also been such a great experience, I guess, so to speak. But yeah, it seems like I said, it seems like it was so long ago, but it really wasn't. It really wasn't at the same time. And my time at ECU was one that I will be grateful for.
No, the state championship was that 2018 when you beat Hopkins, or what year was that when
Oh,
you were at
let's
Eastview when
see.
you
So
won
I
the
was my first year was 2016, 17. So yeah, my second year. Actually, yeah, that sounds right.
Just a shout out. A lot of times you don't hear about the team that loses in the championship, but Eastview defeated Hopkins. And there was a particular player that was on Hopkins' team at that time too, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Paige Beckers. Yeah, I think she had 20 in the first half or something like that. I don't know. She was an amazing player just to be able to watch. And that was her freshman year too. It's even crazier to think back and see she's a fifth year senior now at
Mhm.
UConn. That's even crazier to think back and look and see, wow, like we played her as a freshman. And to see where she's at right now and the level that she's playing at right now, it's fun to watch.
And you talked about before about just what you learn and the impact you learn from families and kids, but a lot of kids seek you out. So that says a lot about you, Quincy. Kids that they were not on your counseling caseload, but I know
Mhm.
there was a lot of kids I'd talk in the hallways, I'd talk in the classroom that would want to seek you out, or just Mr. Davis around. I just need to talk to Mr. Davis about something. And
Yeah.
I say he only has so much time during the day, but I know a lot of students would seek you out. It wasn't just
Yeah.
the girls that you coached, but I know there was
hmm
other students, boys and girls, at
hmm
Eastview High School that were seeking you out just to have a connection and just to have a conversation with you.
Yeah, that happened. That happened a lot. And again, like you never want to deny or turn someone away when maybe you're the person that they're most comfortable talking to, or you're the person that they're reaching out to for support. And so even those students, like even if they weren't on my caseload, I was always willing to take them in, lend a listening ear, be able to try to support them in the best way that I could, because you just never knew what kind of support that they needed, right? You never knew who else they maybe had confided in or who had they not confided in at the
Mhm.
time. And so just being able to be that person too, who was, I think that looking back on it, it's like then for them to entrust in me as an individual, and it might have just been because I was young, right?
I don't think it
Something
was
they
young.
will
I think it just
experience,
says a lot
but
about it. Just says a lot about you. Hey, if anybody
the
knows
youth
you,
sometimes helps. But yeah, I did appreciate that as well, just because even with the families that would reach out and the parents that would reach out, like those things all do mean something at the end of the day. And it just shows how much they entrust in you and the information you can provide and support that you can provide. So yeah, that was also a big piece of being at USU.
coming from me, but also I feel a lot of faculty members at and parents and even former kids that are still at Eastview, but that had you or knew you. I think you really made an impact at Eastview High School. So we appreciate that from Eastview High School, but all
Appreciate you.
everybody that worked or went through Eastview, but also you made a mark on Eastview. So appreciate
Yeah, I
that. And
appreciate that.
then,
Yeah.
yeah. So we appreciate that. I appreciate that. Just the bond I've and the connection I've been able to make with you in school, but also outside school playing hoops. We'll get to that in a second. But so let's share with the listeners. I know during the time at Eastview about the loss of your mom in 2021, and just your mom. I know you shared a little bit that had on the four of you.
Yeah, very difficult time, man. It was, of course, not at the height of COVID. At the same time, it really was. And yeah, it was, I will always say, one of the most, it actually was the most difficult time of my life. It just tested me in so many different ways. At the time, I was right in the middle of my doctoral program. It was just a load mentally, physically. And our oldest daughter, I think she was maybe 18 months, a little over 18 months at the time. The traveling back and forth, and it all happened so fast too, like going out and seeing her and celebrating her birthday to 2 weeks later talking about hospice care. And it was just a lot for us. And I think the way that we handled it, as again, like I had those brothers, man, like the way that we handled it and supported each other, but then the support of our family, aunts, uncles, our wives. We just needed, it took a village for sure to be able to get through that. And yeah, it was just very difficult to have to experience it. And then it was at the end of the school year too, right? Like it was right at the end of the school year. So then having to come back and be at work, and we had students graduating. I thought it was just a lot. Like I was just in a phase where I was like, man, I felt burnt out. I felt overwhelmed. I felt so many different things. And then having to still perform and be a husband, be a father, be a brother, be all these different things and have these different roles in my life. It was again the most challenging time of my life. Looking back on it, I appreciate everyone who was there to be a support system for us, because we definitely couldn't have done that alone. And we have no experience with it, right? It was just like me trying to lead the charge, me trying to plan a service, me trying to do all these things, get finances and stuff in order. And we don't know how to do these things, right? That wasn't something that we had planned for, prepared for, or anything like that. It was a lot. I know it was a lot for myself. I know it was also just a lot for my brothers, for them to have to deal with that. And yeah, it's something that to this day I still can't believe, still have a hard time grasping, but trying to continue to grow my faith with the Lord. And again, just appreciate my family, appreciate the time that I was given with my mom and the things that she instilled in me and my brothers while she was here. I think we're just trying to hold down her legacy and do everything right by her.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. And I think a key thing you also said too is that support network, how important that is, because we're all going to go through it sometime, if it's someone within our family or someone close to us. So
Right.
share with the listeners the opportunity now you're at Mississippi State in the SEC.
Yeah.
We were just talking about that before we got on, about that game, Tennessee and Alabama last night.
Yeah. Crazy.
As I believe, assistant director of the counseling and sports psychologist, and how that opportunity came about, and just how it came about, and then just some of the highlights and kind of challenges in the last, I think you've been there a couple of years.
Yeah. So again, I'm assistant director of counseling and sports psych at Mississippi State University. What my role entails is supporting student athletes in both the mental health and mental performance. So mental health, anything that's a diagnosable disorder, right? Your anxieties, or depressions, things of that such, all the way to mental performance and supporting in that realm. Maybe it's performance anxiety, maybe it's performance routines, confidence, team leadership, something like that. Being able to support a full spectrum of care for our athletes here at Mississippi State. And so it's weird how I got connected with this job, but in short, I had been looking for a job. I had just finished my doctoral program. I knew I wanted to eventually work in the collegiate space. I just wasn't sure how fast the opportunity was going to present itself. Just looking for different opportunities, and ended up being connected with our director here at Mississippi State. And then essentially coming out for an interview, not sure, very skeptical of what this was going to look like, right? I'd never been to Mississippi. I had all these preconceived notions about what Mississippi was about. I told my wife about it, and she's already, I'm not sure. At the time, she was 8 months, 7 months pregnant. So she was also like, okay, how is that going to work? Our child is due in August. How would you even? It was just a lot. But got down here for my interview and was like, I can actually see myself here. It's a nice college town, great people. And then just took a chance on myself. I think a lot of people at the time were like, man, you're crazy to move you and your family across the country. But again, this is getting outside of my comfort zone. And also just thinking back to what my mom had told me to do. Like, what advice would she have given me had this opportunity presented itself? Knowing that I had just gone through a doctoral program, know that I had put all this work in to get to this point. Again, like just trusted in faith and took the leap and ended up down here in good old Starkville, Mississippi. As far as like challenges and some of I'll start with like just the challenges is we work in a space of collegiate athletics, which is it's at the time, the climate of college athletics is really unstable with NIL and a lot of the lawsuits that are going on. There's just a lot of uncertainty in this space. And so I think that's probably one of the largest challenges that we're seeing. But at the same time, I think it's really rewarding. The pros definitely outweigh the cons in terms of just being able to be around these and serve high level athletes, right? Build these relationships, build these connections. I think that, and then just also see their growth, right? See where they started to where they're at or where they're going. To see them progress, I think, has been really one of the most rewarding things that I've been able to experience. I say that all just I've really appreciated and enjoyed my time down in Starkville. Like I said, I had these preconceived notions about what Mississippi was going to be like. The only real downfall is that it gets to about, I don't even know, 120 degrees in the summer, but I don't have to deal with snow. So I guess that's the trade-off.
And we talked about this earlier before the podcast started, but the SEC tournament's coming up, I believe, soon in Nashville. So you might have an
Yep.
opportunity to attend that.
Yeah, for the men, which will be really good. We're having a great year already. Another 21 season for that program. Yeah, been really fun to be a part of and just being able to see again everybody's growth here during my time.
So when have you, I know you maybe shared a little bit about this, when have you had the most personal or professional, a lot of times we talked about it goes together, growth in your life and what caused that growth?
Um, I think it's come in phases. Right. I think
Mhm.
that I've had at each phase of my life, I've had something that was a personal or professional stage of growth. I think but they've all come during times of transition. And so I saw it a lot of myself when I transitioned to Eastview, right? My first job out of college. And again, like going to a place where I was unfamiliar with. I had been to Minneapolis, I had been to the area, I'd never been to Apple Valley. Didn't know what it was like, didn't know what to expect. At the time, I had an apartment in Burnsville. Again, didn't know anything about Burnsville, what to expect. And so I think that each one of my areas and just growth in myself, professional, all those things have come within transitions in my life. I saw it in myself when I came down here to Mississippi, and just not how I've only transitioned as and grown as a professional, but just like on a personal level as well, like how I've grown as a father, how I've had to learn to really balance my time and be present and what that looks like, and giving my kids all these amazing opportunities to be around these spaces. Like I've just seen it come in different areas of transition in my life. So I would say that if I'm looking back at everything, like every transition that I've had has led to some sort of growth for me, whether on a professional or a personal level.
Now, moving forward with like influential people in your past or present, I know your mom, huge influence. Some other people we want to give a shout out to from your past or your present time that have really made an impact on you.
Yeah, really, first person I can really think of off the top of my head is my wife in terms of just being somebody who has impacted me, who has changed me for the better of a person, really drives me to be the best version of myself day in and day out. I also have to give a shout out to my brothers. Every single one of them holds a special place. They all do so in a special way, drive me to be this version of myself as well. And then I have high school friends that I'm still very close with, aunts, uncles that I'm very close with. And I think, you know, that's a huge question, but naming everybody would be like, dang, like I feel like I'm forgetting somebody. So I got to name the staple for sure of the people in terms of my wife and my brothers. But there's just so many people who have had this impact on me to be this version of myself and who have led to my growth and who have pushed me. Even just thinking back to like people at Eastview, colleagues at Eastview that I've had, right? Like Lorinda Hodges, a huge one, right? She was a huge mentor to me. Like Lorinda and I, we still talk to this day, at least once a week, at least. Just people who have really taken the time to, again, give me a chance and just have me grow to be a better version, better person. Yeah, there's just so many that naming them, I don't think we have the time, Rush.
Hey, since you brought your brothers up, we can just go on and on. That'd be a whole nother episode. But just to let the listeners know,
Yeah, that would be a funny one.
Yeah, wouldn't it? In the making. And
Yeah,
Quincy, we've talked about this. I don't know if you shared this with your brothers, but
not yet.
the making, a podcast having the four brothers on. I can't wait for that.
Yeah, that's gonna be entertaining, man. Grab your popcorn. Yeah, that's gonna turn more into a comedy than anything, because yeah.
And then just to change course real quick. No, we've played a lot of hoops together and against each other. Any shout outs, or you want to share kind of any highlights? I know you made the winning shot quite often, but in the mornings during the week or the Saturday mornings.
Yeah, man, those are great times, man. Like, I thinking back, those we used to play basketball 3 times a week. I'm like, I don't know if I could do it now. I just don't think my knees will allow me to do that. But when I first got to Eastview, I was 24 years old, so I was feeling good being able to do that 3 times a week. I think one day you and I were having a conversation. I was like, Raj, man, how come you don't play that much anymore? You're like, man, when you get older, you'll understand. And I think I'm at that point now, Raj, where I'm like, yeah, I can do once a week, maybe twice if I'm feeling it. But yeah, those were great times, man. Just all the guys that we played with, yourself, Oli, Juan, Nick Gorman, Kyle Wallen. I'm forgetting a lot of other guys in there, man. Mark Warder, um, Akeem Smith, like all those guys, man, that you played basketball with on a weekly basis, man. And it was just fun to be out there and compete and play some good basketball and, again, build community. Again, we've had this week. I feel like we have a lifelong relationship now, just after working together and being able to play basketball together. Yeah, man, those were the good old days of some 6 a.m. ball Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday. Can't forget that.
And it was rough sometimes trying to get up early.
Yeah, at 6 a.m., especially on a Friday after a full week. It's, oh, man, yeah.
All right, let's wrap this up, Quincy, and just share with the listeners some final thoughts that you want to leave with men as they continue on their journey.
Yeah, I think something that I have been able to pinpoint along my own journey is to, one, trust the process. I think that a lot of times we can get lost in comparison and where other people are at in their lives and get on this woe is me type of train when things are going our way or when we run into an obstacle. But trusting the process is the best thing that you can do. The second thing is just to be present. Be present in spaces where you're wanted, where you're needed, with your families, with your friends. Give energy to the people that want your energy, that are going to give the same energy back to you. And the third one is to do your best to keep your faith and keep your relationship with God alive. Again, that's something that I've been trying to really get back on the track of, and full vulnerability. It was something that I was having a difficult time doing after the passing of my mom. It's just being able to have that faith. And again, I was in a really dark space and a really dark time for myself, but I'm now on this journey where I'm finally feeling okay, like I need to get back in that space and following God and hearing his word. And so those are the three things that I would lead with, those are the three staples that I try to use as within my foundation every single day.
Quincy, thank you so much for your willingness to share your story. And now, where can listeners follow you and follow your story?
Oh, man, follow me? Wow. You're going to really put me on the spot here. On Instagram, I'm on Twitter. I don't know my handles, as sad as that sounds. But search Quincy Davis. I know one of them is @Dr_Quincy Davis. I think that's my professional account. And then one is just @Dr. Quincy Davis, which is probably I think that's my personal account. And then on Facebook, I'm there. On LinkedIn, I'm there. Twitter, I'm there. Yeah, I'm everywhere.
They can find you everywhere. It's like just
everywhere. You can find me everywhere. You can find me everywhere.
Hey, that's a wrap with Quincy Davis. I want to thank you for being a part of Men Pursuing More podcast.
Yeah, appreciate you, Ross. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for listening to Men Pursuing More podcast. Don't forget to follow us at moffincoaching.com.